The old man is costing us way too much. This cannot go on. That was the first line I read in the brown notebook I found hidden under the mattress, and it was written in the handwriting of my son-in-law, Michael. My name is Frank Miller. I am 73 years old, and all my life I worked wood with these hands. For 45 years I made fine furniture, mahogany wardrobes, dining tables, hand-carved beds, furniture that is still in houses all over Chicago, furniture that will last longer than I will. I have been a widower for 8 years, ever since my Mary went to heaven and left me here alone. After she died, my daughter Sarah brought me to live with her and Michael, her husband. So I am going to ask you something. Listen to this whole story, okay? Until the very end. Because what I am about to tell you, you need to hear it carefully. And when I finish, tell me what you would have done in my place. I also want you to tell me what city you are listening to me from. Because this story has to reach far. Share it with whoever needs to hear it. Because sometimes the truth saves us, even if it hurts. That Tuesday afternoon, everything seemed normal, quiet. Sarah had gone to the elementary school where she teaches, and Michael left early saying he had things to do at his accounting office. I stayed at the house, as always. I do not have much to do at this age. I spend my time sitting in the armchair in the living room, watching television, drinking my coffee, waiting for the hours to pass. My hands shake a little now. My eyesight is not what it used to be. But my mind still works fine. And that day my mind was telling me that something was weird. Lately I had noticed things. Small things. Michael and Sarah speaking in low voices and shutting up when I entered the kitchen. Looks between them that I did not understand. Michael checking papers in his room and putting them away fast when I passed by the hallway. Nothing serious. Nothing to make me suspect something bad. Just weird things. That Tuesday afternoon I needed to change the sheets on my bed. Mine already smelled of humidity, and I was embarrassed to ask Sarah to change them again. So I decided to go myself to their room, where I know they keep the clean sheets in the big closet. I entered the room. I opened the closet. I took out the sheets I needed. And when I was about to leave, something caught my attention. The mattress of the bed was lifted a little on one corner, as if someone had put something underneath and had not arranged it well afterwards. Normally, I am not one of those who go around checking things that are not theirs. My parents raised me with respect. But something, I do not know what, made me get closer. I lifted the mattress, and there it was, a brown notebook, one of those cheap ones they sell at any stationery store, medium size. The corners bent. It looked old. Used. I took it out. I held it in my hands, and I felt my heart beating faster. Why does someone hide a notebook under the mattress? What is in it that he does not want anyone to see? I sat on the edge of the bed. I opened the notebook and started reading. The first pages were normal. Notes of expenses. Numbers. Bills to pay. Things from Michael's work, I supposed. But after 5 or 6 pages, the notes changed. They became different. Sarah is worried about her dad. She says she notices him weaker. I only see the supermarket bill going up every month. That phrase fell on me like a bucket of cold water, because I realized he was talking about me. I kept reading. The old man is already costing too much. This cannot go on. That was when I felt a knot in my throat. The old man. That is what he called me. Not Mr. Miller. Not my father-in-law. The old man. $300 a month in medicines. $150 in diapers. Special food that Sarah prepares for him separately. Doctor every month. This is getting out of control. I read that, and something broke inside me. Why me? I had never thought I was a burden. Sarah always told me I was fine, that they wanted me there, that it was my house too. But Michael kept the accounts, and according to him I cost too much. I turned another page. Sarah does not understand. She believes we can keep her dad here forever. She does not realize that that money could be ours. For us. For our plans. I felt like I was running out of air. I closed the notebook for a moment. I stayed sitting there. trying to process what I had just read. My son-in-law. He kept a record of how much I cost him, as if I were an expense, as if I were something that had to be resolved. I took a deep breath, and I kept reading. I spoke with a lawyer, discreetly, asking about houses and inheritances. He told me that when Frank passes away, the property passes automatically to Sarah as the sole heir. It is a house in a good area. We could sell it easily with that money. Finally, we could buy that land in Florida. That was when my hands started to shake, because I understood something. Michael was not only measuring how much I cost him, he was planning. He was thinking about what would happen when I was no longer there. But what hurt me the most was what came next. Sarah knows nothing about this, and she cannot know. She still believes her dad is going to live many more years. She is blind. She does not see that the old man is already very deteriorated. Any day now. The sentence remained incomplete, as if Michael had stopped writing mid-thought. I closed the notebook. I held it in my trembling hands, and I stayed sitting there, trying to understand what it was that I had just discovered. My son-in-law saw me as a nuisance, as an expense that had to be eliminated. He kept a record of how much it cost to maintain me, and worse still, he had already consulted with a lawyer about what would happen to my house when I died. I felt rage, I felt sadness, I felt fear, but above all, I felt that I had to know more. I opened the notebook again. I turned a few more pages. There were dates, notes by weeks, a whole record of months. April 15th, Frank fell in the bathroom. Sarah cried all day. I only thought about how much it would cost us if he breaks something and we have to hospitalize him. May 3rd, the old man forgot to take his pills again. Sarah worries about his health. I worry about his longevity. June 20th, it has been 6 months since he lives here. Every month that passes, it is more money that we cannot save. Page after page. Months of thoughts, months of resentment, everything written there, hidden under the mattress where he slept every night next to my daughter. Suddenly I heard a noise downstairs. The front door. I froze. I looked at the clock on the bedside table. It was 4:30 in the afternoon. Michael should not be home yet. He always arrived at 6. I heard steps coming up the stairs. Panic invaded me. Quick! I closed the notebook. I put it under the mattress exactly how it was. I grabbed the sheets I had come to look for. I stood up from the bed. The steps were getting closer down the hallway. I left the room just when Michael appeared at the top of the stairs. We stood looking at each other, him and me with the sheets in my hands, him with an expression I could not decipher. "Frank," he said to me, "what are you doing here?" I lifted the sheets, trying to look calm, trying not to show the tremor in my voice. "I came for clean sheets. Mine already smelled bad." Michael looked at me fixedly. For 3 seconds that seemed eternal to me. Then he nodded. "Oh, sure. Well, I forgot some documents. I came for them." He passed by my side. He entered his room. I stayed standing there in the hallway with my heart beating so hard I thought he was going to hear it. I heard how he opened the closet, how he moved things, and then silence, a long silence, too long, and then I heard it, the sound of the mattress moving. My blood froze. I stayed standing there in the hallway with the sheets in my hands, listening to that silence that came from Michael's room, a silence that was killing me inside. Had he noticed that someone moved the notebook? Had he realized that it was not in exactly the same position? I tried to leave it the same, but my hands were shaking. Maybe I did not put it right. Maybe he knows. My heart was beating so hard I thought I was going to have a heart attack right there. And then I heard him leave the room with some papers in his hand. He looked at me and smiled. "I already found what I was looking for, Frank. Get some rest." He passed by my side. He went down the stairs. I heard the front door close, and then the engine of his car driving away. I stayed standing there alone, trembling. I took a deep breath, once, twice, 3 times, trying to calm down, trying to think clearly. I went back to my room. I closed the door. I sat on the edge of my bed with the sheets still in my hands, and I realized something. I realized that my life had just changed forever, because now I knew the truth, and I could not pretend I did not know it. Michael saw me as a nuisance, as something that had to be eliminated. And the worst part? The worst part was that my daughter Sarah knew nothing. She brought me to live here thinking she was taking care of me, thinking she was giving me a home. But her husband only saw numbers, expenses, money that went away every month. It hurt me. It hurt me in the soul to think that Sarah lived with a man like that, a man who kept a secret record of how much it cost to keep his father-in-law alive, a man who was already planning what to do with my house when I died. That night, when Sarah arrived at 7, I tried to act normal. I sat down to have dinner with them as always. Michael prepared dinner. He always cooks on Tuesdays. He says it is his way of helping Sarah after her workday. He served me a plate of chicken with rice. He put it in front of me and smiled. "Enjoy, Frank. I put very little salt, just how you like it." I looked him in the eyes, and for the first time I saw something I had never seen before. Or maybe it was always there and I never noticed it. A coldness, a distance, as if he was looking at me but not really seeing me. "Thank you, Michael," I told him and grabbed my fork. But when I was going to bring the first bite to my mouth, something stopped me. A weird sensation, a doubt. And No, it could not be. Michael would not do something like that. Or would he? I moved the food on my plate. I looked at it. It looked normal. It smelled normal. But my hands started shaking again. "Do not you like it, Dad?" Sarah asked me. "Do you want me to prepare you something else?" "No, honey, it is fine. Just that I'm not very hungry." Michael looked at me fixedly for 2 seconds, and then he continued eating as if nothing happened. That night, I almost did not eat. I only moved the food from one side of the plate to the other. Sarah got worried. She asked me if I felt bad. I told her no, that I was just tired, that I wanted to go to sleep early. I went to my room. I locked the door, something I had never done before, and I sat on my bed thinking, what should I do? Should I tell Sarah what I had read? But how was I going to tell her that her husband, the man she sleeps with every night, kept a secret record waiting for me to die? I could not. I could not do that to my daughter. Sarah loves Michael. She trusts him. If I told her something like that, she would ask me for proof, and I could not go back to that notebook. Michael could realize. Besides, what if I was misunderstanding? What if those notes did not mean what I thought? Maybe Michael was just keeping accounts. That is what accountants do, right? They keep accounts of everything. But then why hide it under the mattress? Why not leave it on his desk like any other document? No. I knew the truth. What I had read was real, and I had to do something. The following 2 days were the longest of my life. I tried to act normal, to smile when I should smile, to speak when I should speak. But inside, I was destroyed. I started observing Michael in another way, to notice things I did not notice before. The way he looked at me when he thought I was not looking, the way he spoke about me with Sarah, always with affection, always with respect. But I now knew it was a lie. Everything was a lie. On Thursday morning, Sarah left early for school. Michael stayed working at home. He said he had to finish some reports. I was in the living room watching television, but in reality, I was attentive to everything he did. I heard him go up the stairs, enter his room, close the door. I waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then very slowly, very quietly, I went up the stairs too. I approached the door of his room. It was ajar just a little enough to see inside. Michael was sitting on the bed with the brown notebook in his hands, writing. I felt like my air was leaving me. There he was, writing more things, more thoughts, more plans. I tried to get closer to see what he was writing, but the floor creaked under my foot. Michael lifted his head suddenly. He saw me. We stood looking at each other, him sitting on the bed with the notebook in his hands, me standing in the hallway with the face of someone who has just been discovered. "Frank," he said to me. His voice sounded calm. Too calm. Do you need something? I swallowed saliva. I tried to think fast. Me? I was looking for Sarah. I thought she was still here. No, she left a while ago to school. Oh yes, of course, I forgot. Michael closed the notebook slowly without taking his eyes off me. Do you feel okay, Frank? I notice you. Weird, like nervous. I'm fine, just a little tired. Are you taking your pills? It is important that you do not forget them. That question fell on me like a bucket of cold water. The pills. He was asking about the pills. Yes? Yes, I take them. Every morning. Good. Because you know that with your high blood pressure, any carelessness can be dangerous. I stayed standing there without knowing what to say, without knowing what to do. Michael got up from the bed, put the notebook in the drawer of his bedside table, and walked towards me. He stopped right in front of me, so close I could see his eyes. Those eyes that now gave me fear. Frank, you know you can trust us, right? Sarah and me. We are here to take care of you so that you are well. I nodded, unable to speak. Good. Then you do not have anything to worry about. We are going to take care of you. Until the end. Those last 3 words. Until the end. They sounded to me like a threat. Michael gave me a pat on the shoulder and went down the stairs. I stayed there trembling because now I was sure. Now I knew I was not imagining things. Michael knew something. Maybe he did not know I had read his notebook, but he knew I suspected, and that put me in danger. That night, I could not sleep. I stayed awake, looking at the ceiling, thinking about what to do. I needed a plan, I needed to protect myself, but above all, I needed to know what else was in that notebook. What else had Michael written that I had not managed to read? Because something told me the worst I had not seen yet. On Friday morning, something happened that froze my blood. I was in the kitchen drinking my coffee alone. Sarah had already gone to school, and Michael was supposedly in his office. But then I heard the front door open steps, and Michael's voice talking on the phone. Yes, I understand. So the life insurance covers natural death, right? Even if he is a senior citizen with pre-existing conditions. I froze with the cup in my hand. Uh-huh. And if something happened in the next few months, how long does the payment take? Perfect, thank you. He hung up, and then I heard him go up the stairs. I left my cup on the table. Slowly, trying not to make noise. My heart was beating so hard I felt my chest was going to explode. Life insurance? Was Michael talking about life insurance? For me? I stayed sitting there without moving, listening to the sounds of the house. Michael moving upstairs, opening drawers, closing doors. And then something in my head clicked. If Michael was asking about life insurance, if he was calculating how long the payment took, that meant he was not only waiting for me to die, he was planning something concrete. I got up from the table. My legs were shaking, but I needed to know more. I needed to see that notebook again. I needed to read what I had not managed to read the first time. I went up the stairs, very slowly, very quietly. The door to Michael's room was closed. I heard water running. He was in the bathroom. It was my chance. I opened the room door. I entered. I went straight to the drawer of the bedside table where I had seen him put the notebook. I opened it, and there it was, the brown notebook. I took it out. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped it. I opened it. I looked for the pages I had not read, the most recent pages. August 15th. I called 3 insurance companies. The best option is American Life. Full coverage, beneficiary, Sarah. Amount, $500,000, $500,000. I kept reading, fast, before Michael came out of the bathroom. August 20th. Sarah signed the insurance papers today. I told her it was to protect us all. She suspects nothing. The old man neither. Perfect. I felt like I was running out of air. Sarah had signed. My own daughter had signed a life insurance policy. For me, without knowing her husband had other plans. August 28th. The doctor said Frank has a weak heart. Any strong scare could cause a heart attack. This gives me ideas. That was when my hands started shaking so much I almost could not hold the notebook. September 3rd. I have been investigating. The pills for the pressure can be modified. If someone took double the dose without knowing, the pressure would drop dangerously. Dizziness, confusion, falls. At his age, a fall on the stairs would be fatal and would look like an accident. No, no, no. This could not be real. September 10th. I already have everything planned. I just need the right moment. When Sarah is not here. When no one can suspect. The water stopped running in the bathroom. Panic invaded me. I closed the notebook. I put it in the drawer. I closed the drawer. I turned around to leave, and the bathroom door opened. Michael came out with a towel in his hand. He saw me standing there in the middle of his room. He stood still, looking at me fixedly. "Frank," he said slowly, "what are you doing here?" I swallowed saliva. My mind was working at 1,000 miles per hour, looking for an excuse. I heard a noise. I thought there was someone here. I came to see. Michael kept looking at me. For 3 seconds that felt like an eternity. "A noise?" he asked. His voice was cold, calculating. "Yes, but I see it was you." "Excuse me, I'm leaving." I walked towards the door. I passed by his side. I felt his gaze nailed to my back. "Frank?" I stopped, without turning around. "Yes, your pills. You took them today, didn't you?" There it was again. The pills. Yes, I took them. "Good. It is very important that you take them. Every day, at the same time, without fail." I turned to look at him, and I saw something in his eyes. Something dark. Something that confirmed everything I had read in that notebook. "Do not worry, Michael. I take them. Always." I left the room. I went down the stairs. I went straight to my bedroom. I closed the door. And I sat on the bed. My hands were shaking so much I had to press them against my legs to make them stop. Now I knew everything. Michael was not only waiting for me to die. He was planning to kill me. He had taken out a life insurance policy for $500,000. He had investigated how to make it look like an accident. And the pills I took every day, they could be his weapon. I got up. I went to the medicine cabinet in the bathroom. I grabbed my bottle of pills. I opened it. I looked at them. Had he already changed them? Was he already giving me double the dose? How long had he been doing it? I threw all the pills in the toilet. I watched them disappear down the drain, and I swore I was never again going to take a pill that came from that house. But then I realized something. If I stopped taking my pills, my pressure was going to go up. I was going to feel bad, and Michael would use that against me. He would say I was neglecting myself, that I was putting myself in danger alone. I needed a plan. I needed help. But who could I ask for help? I could not speak with Sarah. She would never believe me. She loved Michael. She trusted him. And I had no proof. Only that notebook that I could not take out of the house without Michael realizing. The police? What was I going to tell them? That my son-in-law wrote weird things in a notebook. There was no crime. Not yet. Only intentions. I sat on my bed, and for the first time in many years, I cried. I cried because I was alone, because I was scared, because the man who slept in the room next door wanted to see me dead. And nobody was going to believe me. That afternoon, Michael left early. He said he had a meeting. Sarah arrived at 6. She prepared dinner for me. Chicken again, rice, beans. "How do you feel, Dad?" she asked me while we ate. I looked at her, my daughter, the little girl I raised, the one I carried in my arms, the one I took to school every day, the one who hugged me and told me I was her hero. And now she lived with a man who wanted to kill me. "I'm fine, honey, just a little tired." "Did you take your pills?" That question fell on me like a dagger. Yes, I took them. I lied, but I had no choice. That night, something changed in me. I realized I could not keep being the helpless old man, the one who just waited sitting for things to happen. If Michael wanted to play dirty, I could play too. And this time, I was going to win. On Saturday morning, I decided it was time to act. I could not keep being the victim. I was not going to stay sitting, waiting for Michael to execute his plan. If he wanted to play, I knew how to play too, and I had an advantage he did not know. I knew his intentions. That morning, Sarah left early. She had a teacher's meeting at school. Michael said he was going to the gym. I stayed alone in the house, and that was exactly the opportunity I needed. I went up to his room, straight to the drawer where he kept the notebook. But this time I was not just going to read. This time I was going to take photos. With the old cell phone Sarah had given me a year ago and that I barely knew how to use. I took out the notebook, I opened it, and I started taking photos of it, page by page, every note, every date, every macabre plan Michael had written with his own hand. My fingers trembled while I tried to focus well. I had never been good with technology, but this was my life insurance, my proof. I took photos of everything, of the life insurance, of the notes about the pills, of the plans, of everything. When I finished, I kept the notebook exactly how it was. I went down to my room, and I hid the cell phone in the back of my clothes drawer. Under the old shirts nobody saw anymore. Now I had proof. Now I had something to defend myself with, but I still did not know what to do with them. That afternoon, something happened I did not expect. Sarah arrived at 3, Michael at 4. We had dinner together as always, and then Michael looked at me fixedly and said something that froze my blood. Frank, Sarah, and I have been talking, and we believe it would be good for you to have a complete medical checkup. It has been a while since you went to the doctor. Sarah nodded. Yes, Dad. I worry about your health. I want them to check you well. The heart, the pressure, everything. I looked at both of them, Sarah with that face of genuine worry, Michael with that smile that now gave me chills. Me? I am fine. I do not need to go to the doctor. Dad, please do it for me. I need to know you are okay. How could I refuse? If I said no, Sarah would suspect. She would think I was hiding something. Okay, I will go. Michael smiled. Perfect. I already made an appointment for Monday. At 10 in the morning, I will take you. That was when I understood. Michael wanted to take me to the doctor. He wanted to be there. Control the situation. Maybe even talk to the doctor before. Tell him things. Plant ideas in his head about my health status. No, it is not necessary for you to take me. I can go alone. Nonsense, Frank. It is in a clinic somewhat far. I will take you. No problem. I stayed quiet, because I knew if I insisted it would look weird. They would suspect. Well, thank you. That night I could not sleep. I tossed and turned in bed thinking. What was going to happen on Monday? What did Michael have planned? Sunday went slow. Very slow. Michael was home all day, nice attentive. He asked me several times how I felt, if I had taken my pills. I said yes. But the truth is, since Friday, I had not taken any. I had thrown them away, and every morning I pretended to take them. I took out the empty bottle. I opened it. I acted like I swallowed them, and then I put it away. I was afraid Michael would notice the bottle was empty, but luckily he never checked it. Monday morning arrived. Michael knocked on my door at 9. Frank, we leave in an hour. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. I got dressed. I tried to calm down. I told myself everything was going to be fine, that it was just a normal medical appointment. But deep down, I knew it was not normal. Nothing was normal anymore. We got in the car. Michael drove. I was in the passenger seat looking out the window. The streets of Chicago passed fast. I recognized some, others not. And then Michael took a road I did not know. Where are we going? I asked him. I thought the clinic was downtown. Oh, I changed the appointment. I found a better clinic, more specialized over here. We kept driving. The streets became less known, less busy, and then something in my chest tightened. A sensation, an instinct. Something was not right. Michael. Hey, how much longer? We are almost there, Frank. Relax. But his voice sounded different, more tense, more calculating. I looked out the window. We were in an area I did not know. Empty streets, few houses, vacant lots. Michael, there are no clinics here. Almost there, Frank. Almost there. Fear invaded me. Real. Palpable. I put my hand on the door handle, ready to open it if I needed to, and then Michael braked. Abruptly. We were in the middle of nowhere. A dirt road. Trees around. No one in sight. Michael turned off the engine. He turned to look at me, and in his eyes I saw something that confirmed my worst fears. "Frank," he said slowly, "I think you and I need to talk." My heart was beating so hard I felt it was going to come out of my chest. "What do you want to talk about, Michael?" He smiled. A cold smile. Lifeless. "About your notebook." My blood froze. "My notebook? Do not play dumb. I know you read it. I know you have been checking my things. I know since Tuesday." I swallowed saliva. My hands were shaking. "I do not know what you are talking about. Frank, please do not insult me. I saw the notebook moved. I saw your fingerprints on the pages. You are not as careful as you think." I stayed quiet, because I knew lying made no sense anymore. "So tell me," Michael continued, "what do you plan to do with what you read? Do you plan to tell Sarah? Go to the police?" I looked at him fixedly, and for the first time I felt something more than fear. I felt rage. "What do you plan to do, Michael? Kill me here? Now? In the middle of nowhere?" He laughed. A dry laugh. "Do not be dramatic, Frank. I am not a killer." "Oh, really? And what is all that you wrote in that notebook?" "Fantasies." Michael sighed as if he were tired. "Look, you do not understand. This is not personal. It is just business. Numbers. You cost a lot. And that insurance money. That money could change our lives. Sarah's life. Do you not want the best for your daughter?" "The best for my daughter is not living with a man who kills his own father-in-law for money." Michael stayed quiet, looking at me, evaluating me, and then he took something out of his jacket pocket. A pill bottle. "Do you know what this is, Frank?" I looked at him without answering. "These are your pills. The real ones. The ones you should be taking. But you threw them away, didn't you?" "I saw them in the toilet before they went down completely." My breathing accelerated. "So I ask myself," Michael continued, "how many days have you been without taking your pills? 3? 4? With your high blood pressure. That is very dangerous, Frank. Very dangerous." He got closer to me, so much I could smell his cologne. "So here is the deal. You are going to take these pills, now, and we are going to continue with our normal life, as if nothing happened. And you? You are going to die, of old age, naturally, in a few months, or maybe in a year, and nobody is going to suspect anything." I looked at the bottle in his hand, and I understood. Michael was not going to kill me today. He was going to kill me slowly, with the pills, and I had no way to prove it. But then I remembered something. The cell phone. The photos. I had proof. No. I told him. Firm. "I'm not going to take anything that comes from you." Michael clenched his jaw. "Frank, do not make me do this the hard way. Do what you want, Michael. But I am not going to be your victim." We stood looking at each other in silence. In that car stopped in the middle of nowhere, and I knew the war was just beginning. Michael started the car without saying a word. He drove back to the house in total silence, a silence that weighed more than any threat. I went with my hands clenched on my legs, trying to control the trembling, trying to think what I was going to do now. Because now Michael knew that I knew, and that changed everything. When we arrived at the house, he parked the car. He turned towards me and told me with a voice so cold it gave me chills. "This does not end here, Frank. You and I are going to have to reach an agreement. Because if Sarah finds out about this, if you tell her anything, I will make sure she thinks you are losing your mind, that you are delirious, that age is affecting you. Do you understand me?" I looked at him fixedly, and in that moment I understood something. Michael was not just greedy. He was smart, dangerously smart. He already had a plan B. He already knew how to manipulate the situation if I spoke. I understand perfectly, I told him, and I got out of the car. I entered the house. I went straight to my room. I closed the door, and I sat on the bed trying to process everything that had just happened. Michael had threatened me, openly. He had told me if I spoke, he would make me look like a crazy old man. And the worst part is he would probably succeed. Sarah trusted him. She loved him. If he told her I was inventing things, that my mind no longer worked well, she would believe him, not me. I took the cell phone out of my drawer. I looked at the photos I had taken of the notebook. There it was. Every page, every word, every plan. But would they be enough? Would anyone believe me? A 73-year-old man with photos of a notebook against a successful and respected accountant. I needed more. I needed something more solid. That afternoon, Sarah arrived from work. She found me sitting in the living room, watching the television without really seeing it. "Dad, how did it go at the doctor?" I looked at her. My daughter, with those eyes full of genuine worry. "Good, honey. All good. What did the doctor say? Did he check you well?" "Yes. He said I am fine for my age." I lied, because I did not know what else to do. I could not tell her the truth. Not yet. Not without being sure she would believe me. Michael entered the living room at that moment. He looked at me. I looked at him. And in that exchange of glances there was a silent war. "Your dad is perfectly fine, my love," Michael said, putting his hand on Sarah's shoulder. "The doctor said he just needs to keep taking his pills with discipline." Sarah smiled, relieved. "Oh, Dad, you had me worried. Promise me you're going to take care of yourself. I promise you, honey." But while I said that, I looked at Michael, and he looked at me, and we both knew that promise meant very different things for each one. The following days were the strangest of my life. Living under the same roof as a man who wants to kill you, but having to pretend everything is normal, is a torture I wish on no one. Michael kept being nice to me in front of Sarah. He asked me how I was. He served me food. He smiled at me. But when Sarah was not looking, when we were alone, even for a second, his eyes told me something else. They told me he was waiting, looking for the perfect moment, and I was also planning one morning while Sarah and Michael slept. I went down to the kitchen at 5 a.m. I took out the cell phone, and I dialed a number I had saved for years. The number of my buddy Joe, the only friend I had left from the times I worked wood. He answered on the third ring with a sleepy voice. "Hello? Joe, it is. Frank. Frank, buddy. What happened? Are you okay? It is 5 a.m. I need to see you. Urgent. Without anyone knowing." There was a silence, and then Joe said with a serious voice, "Are you in trouble?" "Yes. Tell me where, and I will be there." We agreed to meet that same day, at 11, in a coffee shop 3 blocks from my house, a place where Michael never went. The problem was how to get out of the house without Michael suspecting. That morning I told Sarah I needed to go to the pharmacy, that I had run out of blood pressure pills. She looked at me worried. "Do you want me to go with you, Dad?" "No, honey, it is close. I can go alone. I need to walk a little. Exercise. You know, the doctor said it was good for me." Michael lifted his gaze from his coffee. He looked at me fixedly, evaluating me. "Are you sure you can go alone, Frank? I can accompany you." "Do not worry. I am fine. I will be back in an hour." I left the house. I walked fast, looking back every so often to make sure Michael was not following me. I arrived at the coffee shop, and there was Joe, sitting at a table in the back, with his usual cap and his face of worry. I sat in front of him, and when he saw my face, well, his expression changed. "Buddy, you look terrible. What is happening to you?" And then, and for the first time in weeks, I told someone everything. Everything. The notebook, the life insurance, Michael's plans, the threat, everything. Joe listened to me in silence, without interrupting me, and when I finished, he stayed quiet for a whole minute. Finally, he spoke. "Frank, this is serious, very serious. You have to go to the police. I cannot. I do not have enough proof. Just photos of a notebook. And Michael already threatened to make me look like a crazy old man if I speak. But Buddy, that man wants to kill you. You cannot stay in that house. I cannot leave. It is my house. The one I built with my own hands. The one I left to Sarah. And besides, if I leave, Michael wins. He keeps everything. With my daughter, with my house, with my life. Joe grabbed my hand, hard. So what are you going to do? I looked him in the eyes, and I told him something I did not even know, I thought, until that moment. I'm going to set a trap for him. I'm going to make Michael reveal himself alone. Show who he really is. In front of Sarah. In front of everyone. How? I still do not know. But I am going to find a way. Because I am not going to die like this Joe. I am not going to let that bastard win. Joe nodded, and then he took something out of his pocket. A card. Look, I have a nephew. His name is David. He is a lawyer. Young but good. Very good. Give him this card. Tell him everything. He can advise you. Tell you what to do. Legally. I grabbed the card. I put it in my pocket. Thank you, Buddy. Frank, be careful. Very careful. That man is dangerous, I know. But I can also be dangerous when they provoke me. We said goodbye, and I walked back to the house. But this time I was not going alone. This time I had a plan. I still did not know exactly how it was going to work, but I had a plan. When I arrived at the house, Michael was at the door, waiting for me, with his arms crossed. You took a long time, Frank. I got worried. The pharmacy was full. He looked at my pocket, looking for the pill bottle I had supposedly gone to buy, I realized. Quickly I put my hand in my pocket and took out the lawyer's card. I hid it in my hand. I forgot the prescription, I said. I have to go back tomorrow. Michael smiled, but not with his eyes. How absent-minded Frank. Age, right? I passed by his side. I entered the house and felt his gaze nailed to my back. That night, while everyone slept, I took out the lawyer's card. I looked at it under the light of my bedside lamp. David Evans, attorney at law, and a phone number. Tomorrow I would call him. Tomorrow I would start building my defense because Michael wanted to play dirty. But I was going to play even dirtier. And this time the old man was going to win. The next day I called the lawyer. From a payphone I found 2 blocks from the house. I could not risk Michael hearing the call or seeing the record on my cell phone. Hello, Evans Law Firm. Hello. My name is Frank Miller. Joe Garcia gave me your card. He said you could help me with a legal problem. Oh, yes, Frank. My uncle told me about you. When can you come to my office? Today. Can it be today? There was a pause. Okay. At 3 in the afternoon, does that work for you? Perfect. He gave me the address. I wrote it on a paper I carried in my pocket, and I hung up. Now I had to invent another excuse to leave the house. I could not say I was going to the pharmacy again. Michael would suspect. When I arrived at the house, Sarah was preparing breakfast. Dad, where were you? I went to walk Honey. The doctor said I had to exercise. Michael came down the stairs at that moment. He looked at me. I looked at him. And again that silent exchange of war. Frank, you are very active lately, Michael said, pouring himself coffee. Yesterday to the pharmacy. Today walking. It pleases me to see you with so much energy. His tone was nice, but I knew that tone. It was the tone of someone who is watching. Controlling. Yes. I feel better, I answered, sitting at the table. That morning went slow. Very slow. Michael went to his office at 10, Sarah to school at 11, and I stayed alone in the house. I took advantage to check the photos on my cell phone again, to make sure they were all there, clear, legible. At 2:30, I left the house. I left a note for Sarah in the kitchen. I went to the bank. Back soon. I took a taxi. I gave the address to the driver, and during the whole way I looked out the window, making sure no one was following me. The lawyer's office was on the 3rd floor of an old building downtown. I went up the stairs slowly. My heart was beating hard. I did not know what to expect. I knocked on the door. A young voice said, "Come in?" I entered, and I saw a guy of about 30 years, White shirt, glasses, friendly smile. "Frank, come in. Sit down, please." I sat in front of his desk, and for the next hour I told him everything. Again, the notebook, the insurance, the plans, the threat. I showed him the photos on my cell phone. David reviewed them with attention. One by one, his expression became more serious each time. When he finished seeing them, he took off his glasses. He rubbed his eyes and looked at me fixedly. "Frank, this is serious, very serious. Your son-in-law is planning to commit a crime, but the problem is he has not committed it yet. So can I not do anything? Yes, you can. But you have to be strategic. These photos are evidence. But we need more. We need him to incriminate himself, to admit his intentions in a way we can prove. How?" David leaned forward. "You have to record him. Make him confess. Make him clearly say what he plans to do. With a clear recording, the police would have to act. And how am I going to achieve that? Michael is not stupid. It does not have to be obvious. You can leave your cell phone recording somewhere, provoke a conversation, make him talk. I thought about it. It was risky, very risky. But maybe it was the only way. There is something else," David continued. "We need to protect you in the meantime. Do you have somewhere to stay? Any relative?" "No. I only have Sarah, and she lives with Michael. Friends? Joe. But I cannot leave my house. Michael would win." David sighed. "I understand. Then you have to be very careful. Do not eat anything that only Michael prepares. Do not take pills he gives you. And above all, do not stay alone with him, if you can avoid it." "Okay. Yeah. One more thing, Frank. That life insurance, I'm going to investigate it. I need to know exactly what it says. When was it signed? Who is the beneficiary? Everything. Can you get me the documents? They are in the house in Michael's study. Can you take photos without him realizing?" "I can try." David gave me his card with his personal cell phone written on the back. "This number is direct. Call me at any time, day or night. If you feel you are in danger, call. Understood?" I nodded. I kept the card. I left that office feeling a little better. I was not alone. I had help. I had a plan. When I arrived at the house, it was 5 in the afternoon. Sarah was in the kitchen preparing dinner. "Dad? How did it go at the bank?" "Fine, honey. Just some paperwork." Michael arrived at 6. He greeted me as always, nice, smiling fake. We had dinner, the three of us together. Chicken again. But this time I observed everything. The way Michael served me, where he put my plate, if he approached my food when I was not looking. Sarah noticed my behavior. "Dad, are you okay? You look nervous." "I am fine, honey. Just tired." That night, after everyone went to sleep, I stayed awake thinking about how I was going to record Michael, how I was going to make him confess. And then an idea occurred to me, risky, dangerous, but maybe it could work. I had to make him believe I was giving up, that I was willing to negotiate, that maybe we could reach an agreement. And when he lowered his guard, when he trusted, that is where I would attack the next day in the morning. Michael was alone in the kitchen drinking coffee. Sarah had already left. I approached. I poured myself coffee. I sat in front of him. We looked at each other in silence. And then I said what I needed to say to start my plan. "Michael, I think you and I need to talk. Really, without threats, without games." He raised an eyebrow, interested. "I am listening, Frank. I think we can reach an agreement, something that benefits us both." Michael smiled, but this time it was a different smile, a smile of victory. "Now you are talking sense, Frank." Now, yes. And I knew he had just taken the bait. Michael leaned back in his chair. He looked at me with those calculating eyes I now knew so well. "What type of agreement do you propose, Frank?" I took a deep breath. I had to make it credible. I had to sound like a tired old man who was giving up. "Look, I know I am a burden, I know. It costs to keep me the medicines, the doctor, the special food. All that costs money you could use for other things." Michael said nothing, just looked at me waiting. And I also know that when I die, the house passes to Sarah. And you could sell it? Make your life buy that property in Florida you want so much. Go on, said Michael. His voice sounded interested but cautious. So what if we do this? I sign some papers for you. Now saying that if something happens to me, you can sell the house without a problem, without legal hurdles. And in exchange, you let me live in peace the time I have left, without pressures, without weird pills, without accidents. Michael stayed quiet, processing thinking, and then he spoke. And how do I know you are not going to go later to Sarah, to tell her everything, to tell her about the notebook, about our disagreements? Because I also lose if I do that. Sarah loves you. If I tell her, she's going to think I'm crazy, that I am inventing things. You said it yourself, and I do not want to spend my last years fighting with my daughter. I prefer to live in peace, even if it is with you. I saw something in Michael's eyes, a shine. He was considering it. He was thinking that maybe I was weaker than he thought, that I had given up. It is an interesting proposal, Frank. Very interesting. So do we have a deal? Michael took a sip of his coffee, slowly, savoring it, savoring his supposed victory. I need to think about it, check some things, talk to my lawyer about those papers you mentioned, but I think we can reach an agreement. Yes. Perfect. It was working. Good. You tell me when you want us to talk more calmly, without Sarah, to fix everything. I will, Frank. I will. The following 2 days were strange. Michael was more relaxed with me, nicer. He even offered to take me to the market when Sarah could not. He thought he had me in his pocket, that he had won. But I was preparing everything. I had put my cell phone in audio recording mode several times, practicing, seeing how long the battery lasted, where to hide it so it recorded well but was not seen. Wednesday night, Michael knocked on my door. Frank, can we talk? Sarah went to sleep early. It is a good time. My heart started beating hard. It was my chance. Sure. Come in. Michael entered. He closed the door. He sat on the chair next to my bed. I was sitting on the edge of the mattress. My cell phone was in my pajama pocket, already recording. I had activated it before Michael knocked. I spoke with my lawyer. Michael started. He told me that yes, what you propose can be done. A document where you authorize the sale of the property in case something happens to you. It is legal, valid, good. And what do you need from me? Only your signature. We can do it tomorrow. I will bring the papers. Agreed. But I want something to be clear, Michael. If I sign that, you let me live peacefully without problems, without incidents. Do you understand me? Michael smiled. Of course, Frank, of course. You will live peacefully without problems. He paused, and then he added something that froze my blood. Although being honest with your age and your health conditions, I do not think you have much time left anyway. Maybe a year, 2 at most. The doctor said so. Your heart is weak. Anything could. Well, you know, there it was. He was saying it. It was not a full confession, but it was something. I needed him to say more, to be more explicit. Michael, I want you to tell me the truth, without beating around the bush. Did you ever think about speeding things up? About making my death come faster? Michael looked at me, fixedly. For 3 seconds that felt eternal. And then he spoke. Frank, I am a practical man, an accountant. I see numbers. I see costs and benefits. And yes, I thought about options, about ways to solve the problem faster. But you have to understand, it is nothing personal. It is just logic. Numbers. What ways? Michael leaned forward, speaking in a low voice, as if he was sharing a secret. The pills, for example, increasing the dose little by little. Nobody would realize. At your age, with your pressure, it would be natural, or a strong scare. Your heart would not take it. A fall on the stairs, a slip in the bathroom, accidents that happen all the time with older people. My blood froze, but I kept calm. I needed him to keep talking. And the life insurance? Was that also part of the plan? Michael smiled. $500,000, Frank. Enough for the land, for the business, for the life Sarah and I deserve. She does not have to know anything. She will only receive the money when you are no longer here. And what if I had not accepted this deal? If I had spoken with Sarah? Then I would have had to act faster, make you seem confused, senile, make Sarah think your mind no longer works well, and after well, an unfortunate accident. Nobody would suspect. You are old. You are sick. These things happen. There it was. Everything, confessed, recorded. I stayed in silence, looking at him, and Michael interpreted my silence as fear, as submission. But it does not have to be like that, Frank. Now that we have an agreement, everything can be peaceful. You live your life. I live mine. And when your natural moment comes, we all win. Does that not seem better? Yes, I said with a weak voice. It seems better. Michael got up. He gave me a pat on the shoulder. I am glad we reached this understanding. Tomorrow I bring the papers, and everything will be settled. He left my room. He closed the door, and I stayed sitting there, trembling, but not of fear, of rage, and of satisfaction, because I had him. Everything recorded, his confession, his plans, his threats, everything. I took the cell phone out of my pocket, I stopped the recording, and I listened to it. Complete, clear, perfect. Michael had just dug his own grave, and he did not even know it. The next day early, I called David from the payphone. I have it. I have the confession recorded. Perfect. Come to my office. Now. We have to act fast before he suspects something. I hung up, and I started walking towards downtown, towards the lawyer's office, towards my revenge, because Michael thought he had won. But the game was just about to end, and this time, the winner was going to be me. David listened to the full recording twice. His expression got more serious with every word from Michael. When he finished, he took off his glasses and looked at me. Frank, this is pure gold. We have a confession of attempted, premeditated murder, insurance fraud, threats, everything. With this, the police have to act. So what do? We go to the district attorney. Now, we file a formal complaint, with the recording and the photos of the notebook. Michael is going to be arrested before the day ends. I felt a weight lift off my chest. Finally, this nightmare was going to end. But there is something you have to know, David continued. When this explodes, it is going to be hard. For Sarah especially. She is going to have to face that her husband is a criminal, that he planned to kill her father. Are you prepared for that? I stayed quiet, thinking about my daughter, about her face when she found out, about her heart breaking. I have no choice, I said finally. If I do not do this, Michael is going to kill me, and Sarah would stay with him without knowing the truth. I prefer she suffers now, but that she knows who the man she lives with really is. David nodded. Okay, let's go. We went straight to the DA's office, a big gray building in downtown Chicago. A prosecutor attended us, a serious man of about 40. We told him everything. We showed him the photos. We played the recording. He listened, took notes. And when we finished, he looked at us and said the words I needed to hear. We are going to proceed with an immediate arrest warrant. Mr. Michael Salazar will be arrested today, and we are going to freeze that life insurance too. Where is he at this moment? In his office or at my house? I'm not sure. We are going to send patrol cars to both places. Frank, is there any safe place where you can be while we make the arrest? I prefer you are not in the house when we arrive. You can stay in my office, David offered, until everything is resolved. I accepted because the truth is, I did not want to be there when they arrested Michael. I did not want to see Sarah's face when she found out. I stayed in David's office, sitting in an armchair, drinking coffee, looking at the clock, waiting. 2 hours passed that felt like 2 days, and then David's phone rang. He answered, listened, nodded several times, and hung up. He looked at me. It is done. Michael was arrested at his office without resistance. He is at the station now. And Sarah? Sarah is on her way there too. The agents informed her what happened. I felt a knot in my throat. Can I go? Can I see her? Yes. Let's go. We arrived at the station half an hour later, and there was Sarah, sitting on a bench in the hallway, with her face full of tears, with red eyes, destroyed. When she saw me, she got up suddenly. Dad, what is happening? They told me that Michael, that you... I do not understand anything. I approached. I grabbed her hands. Honey, I need you to listen to me. Calmly. I need to tell you something that is going to hurt. A lot. But it is the truth. And there, in that cold hallway of the station, I told her everything. The notebook, the insurance, Michael's plans, the recording, everything. Sarah looked at me with eyes that could not believe what they were hearing. She shook her head. Tears fell without stopping. No, Dad. Michael would not do that. He loves you. He loves us. There has to be a mistake. There is no mistake, honey. Here is the recording. Listen to it yourself. David passed her his phone with the recording. Sarah listened to it, and with every word from Michael, with every confession, her face was crumbling more and more. When it finished, she let herself fall on the bench, covering her face with her hands, crying like I had never seen her cry. How could I be so blind? How did I not realize? I sat next to her. I hugged her. It is not your fault, honey. Michael is good at lying, good at deceiving. But now the truth came out, and you are safe. I am safe. Sarah clung to me, crying on my chest like when she was a little girl and fell in the park. I am sorry, Dad. I am so sorry. I brought you to live with us thinking I was going to take care of you, and you almost got killed because of me. Do not say that. You did not know. Nobody knew. We stayed like that, hugged, in that hallway, while inside Michael was being processed, being booked, losing his freedom. Later that day, they let us enter a room. The prosecutor explained to us what followed. Mr. Salazar is being accused of attempted premeditated murder and fraud. With the evidence we have, he is going to go to trial, and probably to prison for many years. Sarah listened in silence, already without tears, only with an empty expression of shock. Can I speak with him? She asked suddenly. The prosecutor hesitated. It is not recommended. Please. I need to look him in the eyes. I need him to tell me the truth. To me. Finally, they accepted. They took us to an interrogation room, and there was Michael, sitting, with handcuffs, with a face of defeat. When he saw Sarah, he tried to smile. My love, this is a misunderstanding. Your dad? No. Sarah interrupted him with a firm voice. Do not say anything. Just tell me the truth. Is it true? Everything my dad says, did you plan to kill him? Michael looked at her, and for the first time, he could not lie. Maybe because there was no point anymore, or maybe because deep down he knew he had lost. It was just a contingency plan. I was not going to. Yes or no, Michael? Silence. And then he nodded. Barely, but he nodded. Sarah got up. She took off her wedding ring. She left it on the table and said with a broken but strong voice, I never want to see you again. Never. You are going to sign the divorce. You are not going to fight for anything. And you are going to disappear from our lives forever. Michael lowered his head, defeated. We left that room, Sarah and me, and outside David was waiting for us. What is going to happen now with the house? Sarah asked. Does Michael have a right over it? No, David answered. The house is in Frank's name, and with the divorce and the criminal trial, Michael has no right to anything. You are protected. Sarah nodded, tired, destroyed, but alive. That night we returned home, the two of us alone, without Michael. The house felt different, lighter, safer. Sarah prepared coffee. We sat in the living room. Dad, you were very brave, very smart. You saved me. You saved us. I only did what I had to do, honey. How did you know you had to record everything? How did you plan all that? I smiled. Because this old man's head still works, and because I learned something in my 73 years. When someone underestimates you, Use that to your favor." Sarah smiled for the first time all day. A sad smile, but a smile, nonetheless. "I love you, Dad, and I love you, honey, and I love you." The following months were strange, good, but strange. Michael went to trial. With all the evidence against him, he had no chance. They sentenced him to 12 years in prison for attempted premeditated murder and fraud. 12 years that would give Sarah and me time to heal, to rebuild our lives. The divorce was finalized fast. Sarah wanted nothing from Michael. She just wanted him to disappear from her life. And so it was. He signed the papers without fighting, maybe because he knew he had lost everything, or maybe because deep down he felt some guilt. The house, our house, it felt different now, calmer, without that constant tension, without fear. Sarah and I started living as it should have been from the beginning, like father and daughter, without intermediaries, without hidden threats. But Sarah was changed. I saw her quieter, sadder. Sometimes I found her staring into the void, lost in her thoughts. One night, about 2 months after the trial, I sat with her in the living room. "Honey, how are you?" "Really, how are you?" Sarah sighed. She left her coffee cup on the table. "I do not know, Dad. Some days I'm fine. Other days I feel like I was an idiot. How did I not realize? Michael was by her side every night, and I saw nothing. I suspected nothing, because he was good at hiding. Very good. It is not your fault. But I should have protected you better. I should have noticed something weird. The looks, the comments, something." I got closer to her. I took her hand. "Sarah, listen to me well. You are not to blame for anything. Michael deceived us both. The difference is I discovered his game in time. It does not mean you did something wrong." Sarah looked at me with teary eyes. "Forgive me, Dad, for bringing you to live with that man, for putting you in danger. There is nothing to forgive, honey. You brought me here because you love me, because you wanted to take care of me. And in the end, everything turned out well. We are alive. We are together. That is what matters." Sarah hugged me, and she cried. She cried everything she had been keeping for months, and I let her. Because sometimes crying is the only thing that heals. With time, things got better. Sarah returned to smiling, to laughing, to being herself again. She started going out more with her friends, doing things she had stopped doing when she was with Michael. Dance classes, walks on Sundays, little things that made her happy. And me, I was also healing. The nightmares I had the first weeks after Michael's arrest, little by little, were disappearing. I no longer woke up at night with fear. I no longer checked my food before eating it. I no longer looked over my shoulder every time I left the house. I returned to feeling free, safe in peace. One day, about 4 months after everything, I received a call from Joe. "Buddy, how are you?" "It has been a while since we talked." "Fine, Joe." "Very fine." "Everything is calm now. I'm glad to hear that." "Hey, I'm calling you because I have a proposal. A friend of mine has a carpentry workshop, small, and needs someone with experience to teach the young guys. It is not heavy work. Just go a few hours a week. Share your knowledge. Are you interested?" I stayed quiet thinking. I had not worked wood for years. Since I retired. Since Mary died and I lost the desire for everything. But now I felt something different. A spark. A desire to do something again. To be useful. "Yes, Joe, I am interested very much." "Perfect. I will pass you the address. You can start whenever you want." I started going to the workshop twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 hours each day, and it was wonderful. Seeing the wood again, feeling the tools in my hands, teaching those young guys how to sand, how to cut, how to make a bed that lasts 100 years. I felt alive again, with purpose, in the hands. Those hands that trembled with fear a few months ago, now trembled with emotion. Sarah noticed the change in me. "Dad, you look different, happier." "I am, honey. I feel good, useful. It gives me much pleasure." You deserve to be happy. One afternoon, while I worked in the workshop, one of the young guys asked me, "Frank, is it true what they say, that your son-in-law tried to kill you?" The other guys stayed quiet, waiting for my answer. I thought about lying, about saying they were just rumors, but I decided to be honest. Yes, it is true. My son-in-law planned to kill me for money, but I realized in time, and now he is in prison. The boy looked at me with respect. "And how did you discover it? How did you defend yourself?" I smiled. By being smarter than him, using my head, and above all, not letting myself be defeated by fear. Were you not afraid? Of course I was afraid, a lot. But fear cannot paralyze you. You have to use it, turn it into strength, into strategy. Because when someone underestimates you, when they think you are just a helpless old man, that is where you have your advantage. The guys nodded, impressed, and I felt proud, not only for having defended myself, but for being able to share that lesson, that experience. That night, Sarah prepared my favorite dinner, Mom's famous pot roast, like my Mary used to make. We ate together, we talked, we laughed, and I realized something. My life, after so much pain, after so much struggle, was finally in peace. Yes, I had lost years living with fear because of Michael. Yes, I had suffered, but in the end, I had won. I had not only survived, I had overcome. And that victory, nobody could take away from me. After dinner, I told Sarah something I had been thinking. "Honey, I want this house to be officially in your name. Now. Not when I die. Now." Sarah looked at me surprised. "Dad, you have to—" "Yes, I do. This house is yours. It always was. And I want you to have it legally, without waiting, without depending on inheritances. It is yours, because you deserve it." Sarah had tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Dad. Thank you for everything, for taking care of me, for teaching me, for being the best father in the world, and you the best daughter." We hugged, and in that hug I felt that everything had been worth it. Every tear, every fear, every sleepless night. Because in the end, love won. Family won. And Michael? Michael only won a cold cell in 12 years of his life lost. And me? I won something nobody can take away from me? My dignity, my freedom, and my life. 2 years have passed since Michael went to prison. 2 years in which my life changed completely. And not only because I got rid of a man who wanted to kill me, but because I learned something I never thought I would learn at my age. I learned that it is never too late to defend yourself, to fight, to win. Today I am 75 years old. And I keep going to the workshop twice a week. My hands shake a little more than before. My eyesight is no longer as good. But the head keeps working perfectly. The guys at the workshop have affection for me. They call me teacher. They ask me for advice, and I give it to them not only about carpentry, also about life. Because after what I lived, I have much to teach. Sarah rebuilt her life, slowly, carefully, but she did it. She met someone new 6 months ago, a teacher from the school where she works. Good man, honest, of those who look you in the eyes when they speak. The first time she introduced him to me, I observed him carefully, very carefully, looking for signs, looking for hidden lies. But I found nothing. I only saw a man who looked at my daughter with respect, with genuine affection, without calculations in his eyes, and that gave me peace. "What do you think of him, Dad?" Sarah asked me after he left. "I like him. He seems like a good person. Are you not going to investigate him? Are you not going to check his past?" I smiled. "No, honey, because I see how he looks at you, and I see how you feel with him. That is enough. And if I am wrong again, you are not going to be wrong, because now you are stronger, smarter. And besides, now you know how to recognize the signs. I taught you." Sarah hugged me. "Yes, you taught me. The house, our house, is officially in Sarah's name for a year now, as I wanted. and she takes care of it. She keeps it pretty, like when Mary lived. Sometimes I sit on the patio, where I used to sit with my wife, and I talk to her. I tell her what happened. I tell her it is okay, that Sarah is okay, that I am okay. And I feel she listens to me from wherever she is. The other day I received a letter from prison, from Michael. Sarah saw it first. She gave it to me with a face of worry. Are you going to read it? Yes, I want to know what he has to say. I opened the letter, and this is what it said. Frank, I know I have no right to ask you for anything. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I want you to know I have had a lot of time to think, to reflect on what I did, on the man I was, and I am ashamed, deeply. You did not deserve anything of what I planned. Sarah did not deserve to be deceived like that, and me? I deserve to end up here. I just want you to know I am sorry. I really am sorry. I do not expect forgiveness. I do not deserve it. I just wanted you to know that time here has changed me. It has made me see things another way. I hope someday you can find peace. Michael, Sarah looked at me while I read. What does it say? It says he is sorry, that he repents. Do you believe him? I thought about that for a whole minute, and then I answered, I do not know if I believe him, but it does not matter either, because my peace does not depend on his repentance. My peace I found by myself, and nobody can take it away from me. Sarah smiled. You are very wise, Dad. I am not wise, honey. I am just an old man who learned to defend himself. I put the letter in a drawer, and I never took it out again. A few weeks ago, David called me, the lawyer who helped me with everything. Frank, do you remember I told you your story was incredible? Yes, I remember. Well, I have a friend who works at a magazine. I told him your story, and he wants to interview you, do an article about you, about how a senior citizen defended himself from his son-in-law, how he used intelligence to save himself. He says it can inspire many people. I thought about it, and I accepted. The interview was published last month, with the title The Grandfather Who Refused to Be a Victim, and since then I have received letters, many letters, from older people who write to me, who tell me their own fears, their own situations, and they ask me what to do, and I answer them. To all of them I say the same. Never give up. Never accept being a victim. Use your head. Seek help. And fight. Because you deserve to live with dignity until your last day. Some write back. They tell me my story gave them courage, that they took action, that they defended themselves, and that fills me with pride, because my life now has a new purpose. Not only did I survive, now I help others survive too. Yesterday, while I worked in the workshop, one of the guys asked me, Frank, what is the most important thing you have learned in your life? I stopped. I thought about everything I had lived, about Mary, about Sarah, about Michael, about the struggle, about the victory, and I answered. I learned that age does not make you weak. Age gives you experience, wisdom, and if you use it well, nobody can defeat you. I learned that respect is not asked for, it is earned, and it is defended. And I learned that while you have life, while you breathe, you can always fight. You can always win. The boy nodded, impressed, and I kept working, sanding a table that was going to last 100 years, like all the things I do. Tonight, I'm going to have dinner with Sarah and her new boyfriend. She is going to cook. I'm going to tell stories. And we are going to laugh a lot, because that is what we deserve. After everything we went through, we deserve peace. We deserve happiness. We deserve to live. And if someone asked me, was everything you went through worth it? I would say yes, 1,000 times yes, because I not only survived, I overcame, and that victory nobody can take away from me. My name is Frank Miller. I'm 75 years old, and this is my story. The story of an old man who refused to be a victim, who fought with intelligence, who defended his life and his dignity, and who won. So now I ask you, you who listened to me until the end, What would you have done in my place? Would you have given up? Or would you have fought? And tell me, where are you listening to me from? Because I want to know this story reached far, that someone else heard it. And that maybe, just maybe, it gave courage to someone who needed it. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being here. And remember, it is never too late to defend yourself. It is never too late to win. Farewell.
아니 근데 좀 오래 기다렸어 짜부가. 아니 이거 언니 이게 싸우려고 하는 게 아니라 그거야. 좀 방방바 좀 해. 아니 그건 뭘 어떡해. 미안하잖아. 여기 좀 구경시켜줄까? 안 터지나? 여기가